Today's topic is immigrants and epidemics. Welcome to the Savage Nation. What the liberal media is hiding from you can be dangerous for your safety, your security, and your health. I've got to go back in time because this is a topic that I have basically been working on since the late 70s. I've been trying to warn America about what unscreened immigrants will be bringing into America. I will remind you that I worked on this in 1982, that's an 8 and a 2. Soon after getting my doctorate in 1978, I tried to publish my 7th book entitled Immigrants and Epidemics, along with the chairman, the dean actually, of one of the most important public health universities in America. I will not name him nor the university. We're talking about prestigious. And although my previous books had done well, all publishers in New York in 1982 said we cannot publish a book on immigrants and epidemics, no matter how well or factually true it is. We can't publish it for political reasons. Well, I got so angry, along with other things that were happening, that I made my radio tape, and I went into radio, blah, 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 in 94. Since 94, I, like Paul Revere, have been riding across America, almost to no avail, trying to warn you what would happen if you let liberalism run amok, which it has done. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to hear this. You're not going to hear it, but we have tuberculosis, hand and foot disease, Chagas disease, previously eradicated from the area of Southern California, on the rise and testing positive in Murrieta Border Patrol agents. Other diseases that are emerging include H1N1 swine flu, chickenpox, amongst Border Patrol agents. The Border Patrol is being threatened with lawsuits and firing if they disclose this. Congressmen are being turned away from the border as they go to investigate this surge of infected illegal aliens being thrown across the border at us. This is very serious because yesterday it reached a flashpoint when a group of 300 to 400 people blocked buses carrying illegal immigrants into their community. They said enough is enough. You're not dumping them on our shore. What they should have said is take them right to Nancy Pelosi's block on Pacific Heights. Take them right up to Broadway and drop them on Broadway outside Pelosi's house, because all of them have a spark of divinity. They have a spark of divinity? I'm sure they do. Sure they have a spark of divinity. Oh, I'm sure they do. What kind of mothers do to humans what they wouldn't do to a dog? If you drop a dog off on the side of a street and run away, you're considered a bad person. You could be arrested. But the federal government has no problem dropping children off on the side of a road. Do you understand what's going on? Do you know what this flood of incoming illegal immigrants is bringing into the United States of America? Do you know that your U.S. government officials can be arrested for refusing to protect Americans from the dangerous diseases that they're exposing us to? Do you understand that they're waging a war against conservative communities by bringing in whole populations of automatic Democrat voters, legal or illegal? Do you understand that this is not ultra-tolerance for immigrants, but a war against America? Now, back in the past, I did shows on immigrants and epidemics because I know more about it than anybody in radio, more about it than anyone in the history of radio. God bless everyone who's talking about it, but they don't know as much about it as I do because it was my field in graduate school. And back in 94, I did a tape. Back in 05, I did a tape. But most importantly, in a 2005 book, Liberalism is a Mental Disorder, I tried to warn America. I should have won a Nobel Prize for what I was doing. Instead, I've been castigated. Instead of winning all the prizes that an individual like me should have won, I was castigated and spat upon by the illegitimi in our media and in our government. But that didn't stop me, did it? And here I am, trying to warn you once again acting as the Paul Revere of America. Once again, repeating the message I've been repeating for many, 30 years now, maybe more than 30 years. I haven't stopped, have I? Have I given up? Have I put the hat on? Have I picked up a golf club and gone off and said, the heck with it, I can't stop it? No, I haven't picked up the golf club. I picked up the microphone. I picked it up in 94, and I don't intend to put it down until God takes my cold, dead hands off the microphone. That's when I'll stop. I want to go back to Liberalism is a Mental Disorder. In the chapter called Alien Invasion, I want to read you a paragraph. This ultra-tolerance for illegals is a byproduct of liberalism and has been unchecked for decades. Not one U.S. administration since 1980 has been serious about stopping the invasion, much less controlling it. We had a glimmer of hope with President Reagan. He said the simple truth is that we've lost control of our own borders, and no nation can do that and survive. That was Reagan. And then a bushel dropped on that little light of Reagan's. While his assessment was correct, the president promptly signed legislation granting amnesty to millions of illegal aliens. Most experts agree that Reagan's move led to even more illegal immigration, not less. And I want to pause right there. Many of you glorify and sanctify Ronald Reagan. What you don't understand is he signed amnesty for millions of them. Did you know that? So if you think it's a problem that began with Obama, you're mistaken. And if you think that both parties are not in on this invasion, you're mistaken. I go on. I say it's an old lesson of economics. You get more of what you subsidize. Concessions give birth to more concessions. It's time to slam the door shut. Why does America set out the welcome mat for those who subvert our immigration procedures, who snake their way across our border just to stab us in the back? Why do we allow illegals with bogus papers to steal jobs from U.S. citizens who waited their turn and got here legally? Why do we look the other way when we know that nearly 3/4 of the cocaine and half of the heroin consumed in America enters across the U.S.-Mexican border? This is from 2005. And speaking of drugs, I wrote, here's one for you red diaper doper babies. Did you know every year the drug cartels and their warlords stuff $500 million into the back pockets of corrupt Mexican generals for the sole purpose of buying protection from armed escorts? Which begs the question, I wrote, why doesn't the president at least call out the National Guard to stop this threat to our health, welfare, and security? This was in 2005, long before Obama. We don't know where Obama was in 2005. I don't even know if he was in office at that time. But it was Reagan doing it. And I wrote, neither Republicans nor Democrats want to stop the flow. Why, I ask? It's a little cynical, but one Cochise County sheriff who works the border put it this way. He said, people in Washington get up in the morning, their laundry is done, their floors are cleaned, their meals are cooked. Guess who's doing that? And I wrote, a little cynicism will keep you healthy. While America had her shirts pressed, her floors washed, and her food cooked, the guys on the front lines, the U.S. Border Patrol, with the thankless job of defending our southern flank, and I go into the numbers of how many they've, intervened and grabbed. But let me read you something. I ask, who's to blame? Hypocritical politicians on the political left and right, that's who to blame. Their negligence is inexcusable. Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution says this, one line, the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each state against invasion, my emphasis. And so I wrote, thanks to their failure to follow the Constitution with the same fervor with which they slavishly follow poll numbers, our borders are more porous than your grandmother's sieve. We've got money for abortion education. We've got foreign aid dollars for Iraqis and Palestinians. We've got bucks for AmeriCorps to plant trees for Earth Day, but we don't have the money to protect our borders. You get the picture. I've been at this for a long time. And we thought we had a slight victory when George Bush increased money for the Border Patrol. But little did we know that one day we would wake up to the gravest threat to our survival in the lifetime of this nation, with an alien invasion never before seen in a sovereign nation. An invasion orchestrated in the White House itself, according to everything I can discern. Orchestrated by invisible hands surrounding the president, perhaps the president himself, for reasons you can well understand by now. Reasons, of course, that are purely political and purely dangerous for the rest of the nation. Yesterday, 300 to 400 American protesters in Southern California came out with American flags, and they just said no, and they blocked the buses. It's the beginning of the next American Revolution. This is not a joke. Take a look at their faces. Women, men, children holding signs, stop illegal immigration. A crowd of them said no to this fascist government. Take a look at the faces. It says the real America. It says the real America, and you're not going to dump these on us. Then you see women with their fists raised saying, wake up America, stop illegal immigration. And then you see illegals arguing with them, getting in their face. And then you see veterans with flags, with signs that say veterans' rights first. And then you see women jumping in front of police cars, not letting the police cars interfere with the protest. And do you understand what this means? Do you understand what's going to happen when they dump them in your community? Do you understand what's going to happen when a soccer mom awakens one morning and her daughter's hair is crawling with lice? Do you understand what's going to happen when she awakens one morning and her little darling comes home testing positive for tuberculosis because one of the divinely inspired children of Nancy Pelosi was permitted to enter that classroom with tuberculosis. Now, I want to pause right here because it's easy for you to say that I'm simply an alarmist, I'm a racist, I'm a thisist, or I'm a thatist. Well, you got it all wrong. The only ist I am is an epidemiologist. I am not a racist. I am not an alarmist. I am an epidemiologist by training.